8 years ago, I was lost, distracted. I could barely manage to focus for a few minutes. But now 6 to 13 hour days of focus are normal for me and I enjoy it. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to rewire your brain with 3 practical strategies that make building deep focus simple. To start, let me show you the one thing that I did that took me from literally 0 minutes of focus to at least hitting like 10 plus minutes per day on a consistent basis. So imagine you and your goals is a train system. So we have train A and we have train B. Train A, of course, has a destination and so does train B. But the thing with train A is there's no distractions. It just has one track all the way to the destination, no alternative routes. And then we have train B. Train B is a little different. It has one track, of course, but then it has a couple of alternative tracks along the way, because you can imagine, if you think of a train system, it has those branching routes, and usually they have like the train conductor or the control center would switch to the different routes to get to different destinations. But here's the thing with train B. All of these, in these intersections here with the different routes, they're not blocked off. They're all just open. So what do you think would happen to each of these trains? If you take train A, for instance, and it goes along this track, of course, it would just go all the way to the end and finally reach its destination, no problem. But then if you take train B, now with these alternative routes just left open, it's going to go along just fine here. But then as soon as it reaches the first junction that's left open, it has no clear way to go. So of course, it's just going to derail, and the train's just going to crash, and who knows, everybody's going to die, right? So essentially, you want to be train system A, not train system B, because if you leave these alternative routes, these distractions open, you're going to derail, and then, oh shit, you're fucked, right? Okay, so how do you block off these distractions here and have one single track? So turn yourself into train system A. One track straight to your goal. 3 different steps. Step 1 is to just put up as many guardrails as possible. So you need to have your goal in mind, so whatever your goal is, and then you just need to have some awareness, think about what all your distractions could possibly be. So if for example, if you play games on the game console all the time, then just put a sticky note on the game console with your goal on it. So as soon as you walk up to the game console, you're like, oh, you're reminded of your goal again. Guardrail right in front of that game console. Or you're distracted by your computer, put it in front of your monitor. Or if you like, for example, wake up distracted, then put like a poster on your wall for right when you wake up so you can see your goal. Or if you always just distracted by your phone, set your lock screen to put your goal on it. So as soon as you open it, you're like, oh shit, my goal. And then you put it down to get focused again. Step 2 is to remove any physical distractions. So this one takes a little bit more awareness. You're essentially removing everything out of sight. So out of sight, out of mind. So for example, if you work at your desk on your computer, you could, of course, just take your phone and put it right in front of you, like right in front of your monitor, next to your keyboard where you're working. But if you very simply I have an L desk and I work over here, I just put the phone on the edge of the L desk. So it's right out of view. Like I'm looking this way, the phone's over here, so I can't see it. And the same thing for like any snacks that could possibly distract you, just move it out of sight. Step 3 is to remove any work site blockers. So for example, if you work on your laptop, you have like Steam installed on there, like I have Steam installed right now, or if you have a browser that you open up and you like watch anime or watch YouTube on it. Of course, that could be very distracting because you're right where you normally do the entertaining stuff. But what you do is you just separate the work and the entertainment. For example, what I do is I have one browser, I use Firefox for just entertainment stuff. So I watch my anime on there, whatever. And then I'll have a separate browser for just work. So I use Brave browser for just my work. And then on top of that, I'll even have a separate monitor. So I have like one big monitor TV for all my entertainment stuff. And then I have my main monitor only for work. And I leave the other one unplugged. And I don't open any entertainment stuff on my first monitor. I just stay focused. And that creates an association with the work to that monitor and helps your brain focus a bit more. But after you put up all these guardrails, there's still a problem. Although you might be able to get yourself undistracted, when you actually go sit down to work, you get stuck. So many things that you could dedicate your focus to. How do you pick what really matters? So I've watched probably at least 150 plus productivity videos in order to try to figure out how to get all the stuff done that I could possibly think of to get as productive as possible. I spent hours and hours building like crazy templates on Notion, kind of like this, maybe not as colorful as this is probably a girl made this, or making like crazy bullet journals. Like I would fill an entire notebook with like crazy stuff kind of like this, making super complex plans, super mega long to-do lists. But then the issue was 2 weeks later, all the shit that I made was completely useless. And I still just remade it over and over again. I remade these plans, remade these templates to try to fit whatever I was doing. But the problem is that you don't need to get everything done. So what I do to actually find the 1 to 3 things that you should actually focus on is 3 different steps. So step 1 is to just get something down to write on. And don't overcomplicate this. Like, I've watched those 100 productivity videos. Everybody wants to suggest you the best app. Everybody wants to look for the best app to make their productivity the best. But the thing is, the best app, the best productivity tool is the place where you are at all the time. What I mean by that is very simply, like, if you're on your like laptop all the time, then simply just use like the sticky note app on the computer. Or if you're on your phone all the time, then just like use the note app on your phone because it's like pre-installed, very simple. Or if you're maybe on both all the time, you're on your phone, you're on your laptop, maybe you're on your desktop as well, then you can simply just like use Google Docs and then have it bookmarked on each one of these places so you can easily access it. Or if you're at your desk all the time, very simply just like use a notebook like I do and just have it next to your keyboard. And step 2 is now to just think of your big goal. And I'll just use the example of figuring out where you want to actually start or like what you actually want to dedicate your focus to. You could have tasks like, oh, search on Google all the different high income skills that I could learn. Then you could have like watch videos on each of the skills. And then as your third task, you could have like pick the top 3 that you think is interesting and go like find a book on it or something, or go try a certain exercise. And step 3 is at night, take a look at the big task list that you've made and pick your 3 that you're going to do tomorrow. And I know in the previous example, I only listed 3 different ones. That very well could be it. And you just write that down with your big goal. So right in the morning when you wake up, you just have that ready to work on. But warning, there's one thing that you're probably going to ignore me on, but you absolutely should not do. So in those productivity videos, all of them suggest you to make all these complex things. And in that, you kind of get in the state of like hoarding all your random information, hoarding all your different tasks, like making some cool stuff in trackers. Don't do that. When you finish the task, just delete it. It's done. You have whatever results already in your brain. It doesn't matter anymore. So this is strategy 2, but even without getting overwhelmed and having your guardrails up, you still keep going to get distracted, even though maybe you might not actually go and do the distraction. You still keep getting distracted. This slows you down because the enjoyment of working is not as good, is not as enjoyable as whatever distraction you're thinking of. Well, what if there was a way to fix this without dopamine detox? This strategy is called mind vision. And actually all the different distractions you can think of, like social media, gaming, or like shows, all of them exploit this like infinite motivation glitch in your brain to keep you hooked for hours and hours. Literally, I played like all-nighters on games because of this. So let me show you mind vision with 2 different types of games. So here you have game type A and game type B. Game type A is competitive games. So you play and you're going for like a rank up. You play ranked and like, oh yeah, you're stuck in bronze, you gotta get to silver. Or game type B, this is like more story-based games where you complete a quest, you complete a mission, and you get some loot at the end, or you progress more in the story. What do you think is in common with both of these types of games that keep you always motivated? You can pause if you want, but I'll review the answer. So both of these games have a clear result for your effort. So game type A, of course, that is the rank up. Or game type B, it's the progression or the loot from clearing a quest. You always know what's coming. You always have a target to focus on. So how does this relate to an infinite motivation glitch, and how does it work in real life? How can you use it? There's actually only 2 steps. So step 1, first visualize if you don't do whatever task, what is going to happen. And for example, if your goal is to figure out what you want to do, or what high income skills you should learn, for example. If you don't do the Google searching, one of the different skills you should learn, of course, you're just going to end up like a skillless bum. You're never going to learn any skills. And also in the first step, you just do the opposite of that. So you visualize what the result could be. So if you learn a high income skill, you actually do that task, like in 10 years time, you could be like a millionaire, right? From learning that skill. Then in step 2, you just want to ask, which one do you want? So do you want this result? Do you want to be the millionaire, or you just want to continue being your like miserable, skillless self? And this does actually 2 super powerful things in your brain. It will have the result, so the $1 million or whatever result you can think of, now it's in your mind. The result is in the now. You can feel it. It's a clear target, and it will pull you forward. And then you have the anti-result, which will be like whipping you at the back, pushing you forward, because you don't want that anti-result. You don't want that negative. And both of these are going to make you progress. And I believe I've read somewhere that this in combination is like 18x more effective than any one of these alone, or having no vision at all. So this is strategy 3. But even if you have infinite motivation, if you get distracted, you still can't get anything done. How do you make sure you don't get distracted? Well, you can actually watch this video here for the top 15 distractions that I face pretty much on a daily basis that I've come up with solutions for now and you can use for yourself to stop your distractions.